Spider-Man, Part 2. The coming fire weeks crawled by, each one a silent war fought within Peter Parker's own mind. The city saw a new Spider-Man, more efficient, more relentless, appearing as if from nowhere to quell threats with a terrifying, calculated precision. Criminals spoke in hushed tones of a dark morphing spider whose webs could burn, freeze, or electrocute, and whose fists struck with the unforgiving impact of steel pistons. Peter felt the change acutely. He barely slept, the nanites sustaining his body, repairing fatigue before it could set in. Food tasted like ash, a redundant process, for a body being optimized for pure performance. The witty banter that was once his trademark had faded, replaced by curt warnings and tactical commands. The joy of swinging through the city was gone, supplanted by the cold calculus of patrol routes and probability assessments. Threat detected, 34th and Broadway, armed robbery in progress, probability of civilian casualties. 40%. Unacceptable, the voice of the nanobot Venom would state, a dispassionate ticker tape of data in his consciousness. He would arrive and the fight would be over in seconds. No flair, no quips, just the perfect application of force. A web, hardened into a razor-sharp net, would disarm the thugs simultaneously. A targeted electrical jolt would disable their nervous systems, efficient, clean, inhuman. His relationships suffered. He dodged calls from MJ, unable to explain the cold distance in his voice or the faint, almost imperceptible geometric shimmer that sometimes patterned his skin in the light. He canceled on Aunt May, terrified she would see the man disappearing behind the machine. The training the nanites had promised was constant and brutal. At any moment, his senses could be hijacked, plunging him into a hyper-realistic simulation. He would fight phantom armies of the biomechanical invaders, the nanites forcing him to use lethal tactics, to morph his arms into cannons, to phase his body into a living weapon. You hesitate, the symbiote chastised after one simulation where he refused to sacrifice a holographic civilian to destroy a larger enemy. Sentiment is a tactical flaw. To win the coming war, you must be purged of it. I'm not a murderer, Peter gasped, the simulation fading to leave him kneeling on a rooftop, trembling. You are a weapon. A weapon does not have the luxury of morality. The first real sign came not from the sky, but from the ground. A meteor streaked across the night, crashing into the industrial wastelands of Queens. It wasn't a rock. Even before the news broke, Peter knew. The nanites screamed in his mind, a sudden, high-frequency alarm. Scout, it has arrived. We must analyze it before it activates. He was there in minutes. The object was a pod of twisted, iridescent metal and pulsing organic matter, half buried in a crater. It looked diseased before he could get close. A crimson and gold blur descended from the sky, landing with a heavy thud. Iron Man. Parker, stand down. Tony Stark's voice echoed from his helmet, flat and serious. My sensors went off the charts. We're talking energy signatures that don't exist on this planet. And another one, coming from you. Stark, you don't understand, Peter said, his own voice sounding foreign, cold. I have to get to that thing. You are not getting near it until you tell me why you are pulsing with rogue nanotechnology and why my suit's AI is flagging your biosigns as non-human. You've been on my watch list for weeks, kid. The brutal takedowns, the new suit. It's time to talk. As they spoke, the pod began to shudder. Tendrils of techno-organic ooze slithered out, touching the wreckage of a nearby factory. With a sickening grinding sound, the metal and concrete began to twist and reshape itself. Junk became legs, pipes became cannons. A monstrous, multi-limbed drone pulled itself from the crater, its single red eye glowing with malevolent purpose. Iron Man unleashed a torrent of repulsor blasts. They struck the drone, only for the molten metal to be instantly reabsorbed, the creature growing larger, stronger, ineffective, the nanites stated in Peter's mind. Conventional energy is a food source. It requires deconstruction on a molecular level. Allow me. Without his consent, Peter's right arm morphed. The familiar red and blue fabric dissolved into a sleek black cannon, glowing with an internal, sickly green light. A focused beam of disruptive energy shot out, hitting the drone's leg. Instead of exploding, the leg simply unraveled, collapsing into a cloud of inert dust. Tony stared, in stunned silence. What was that?